Good afternoon. Good to be with you all here again today. I'm just going to come with you with just some quick points on the lesson. We are in the Book of Ruth, so all of the girls will be happy. They ask me all the time to go through the Book of Ruth, and we are going to attempt to cover the entire story of the Book of Ruth in 1 week. But the great thing about doing this with the Book of Ruth is that you see these just kind of overarching story, this overarching theme of who God is, how He is working, and then the plan moving forward on how God uses the relationship of Ruth and Boaz to further His purposes. And so I love this book. I think it's great to you can take this book and put it in 1 week and see the overarching themes of what's going on. And so a couple things I want us to focus on. I think the writer does a good job of pointing out some great truths. Once again, he has some great probing questions to ask in each section as you go through it. But a couple things. First, I think that Ruth demonstrates to us the character of God. If you look at Ruth, what I love, he wrote this. He says, the steadfast fellowship of Ruth and Naomi was a gift of God. Listen, Ruth is a shadow of the love of God, is a shadow of the love God has for His people. Ruth didn't bail, and God doesn't bail. Ruth went in with Naomi forward into difficulty. God goes forward with us into difficulty. Even as we walk through the valley of shadow of death, God is with us, comforting us, leading us, and guiding us. When life's difficulties escalate, Jesus is still there with us, drawing even closer than before. So I think this is a great opportunity that we have to just look at Ruth and her clinging on to Naomi, even in these harsh times and trouble, and say, look, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you. And see that, man, this is a great picture of who God is for us. It's the same thing God does for us in our pain, in our struggles, in our hard times. God doesn't move away. God clings closer to us. He says, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you. And He sticks with us. And so we see that Ruth demonstrates to us the character of God and how much He loves us. Second of all, we also see the providence of God that takes place in the whole relationship of Ruth and Boaz. So Ruth comes back with Naomi to Israel, and there she just happens to be working in the field that Boaz is in, and then happens to come in, so you see their paths cross because it happened to be the land of Boaz. And what we'd see is that this is just more than just coincidence in this moment. It says this, that God was directing their steps in His providence to redeem His people. So I love this. Like, for us in our own lives, we can look at things that have happened in our life, even the hard things and the tough things, and we can see how God had a plan and had a purpose in all of that, where He was bringing us together for something. And so as we look at this story, we can reflect upon our own life and see the providence of God. This might be a great opportunity for you to reflect on the providence of God on your life, and then explain that to the students. So maybe some way God has worked providentially to bring you where you are in that moment. So we see that. And then finally, one thing we can look at is, man, the beautiful picture of the last couple verses of the book of Ruth. I think this is great. The writer says that you would think the crescendo ends in verse 16 when Boaz has redeemed Ruth, he marries her, but it's not. What you see is that Ruth has a son, and his son's name is Obed. Obed would go on to have a son named Jesse, and Jesse would go on to have a son named David, and it would be through the man David that God would reaffirm His promise to send a great Redeemer, Jesus of Nazareth. Here's what I love. This Moabite woman, this woman who did not belong here, who happened to come here by chance with Naomi through a famine, because of a famine she got brought here, was then used intricately in the plans and purposes of God to bring about His son Jesus and the salvation of the world. And so, man, as we are looking at our life, we know that God is redeeming our life. We know that God is working in our life in a way that we don't understand, and we know that He does have a great plan for us in the future. So I hope that's helpful for you. Something just really quick to help you look and think through this lesson this week. But I hope you have fun with it, and I hope you have some good discussion with your students. Thanks.